The stars here do not twinkle. They glow a red, ulcerous, as though the galaxy itself is infected. A single Terran destroyer, hull scorched charcoal, drifts through the dark like a coffin that has forgotten how to sink. Her name, once proud, has been lasered off the plating so that no enemy might claim the kill. Inside, half the lights are dead. The other half strobe in a rhythmic panic, casting corridors that breathe. On the bridge, Captain Evelyn Hart stands barefoot. Boots discarded hours ago because blood had pooled inside them and begun to clot between her toes. She grips a rail that vibrates with the last heartbeat of dying engines. Her reflection, fractured across 5 cracked screens, shows a woman who has not slept in 4 days. Pupils wide, cheekbones sharp enough to cut hope. Somewhere aft, a hull segment groans open to vacuum. The sound is human, a moan swallowed by eternity. No one rushes to seal it. There are only 32 souls left, and every hatch is already a gravestone. Evelyn's eyes fix on the forward port. Outside, the Orion Nebula swirls, magenta, viridian, colors too vivid for war. A beautiful wound. She whispers to it, voice scraped raw. Just give us 1 more hour. 1 more hour so I can drag every last one of you bastards down with us. She is not speaking to the nebula. Aboard the alien flagship, an onyx tetrahedron the size of Luna, gravity folds instead of pulls. The air is mercury thick. Every breath tastes of molten coin. Here the Viari gather. They do not sit. Sitting implies spine. They coil. 7 apex architects hover above a floor that ripples like black oil. Their bodies are elongated helixes of matte chitin and glassy nerve tube, heads triangular, mouths absent. Speech vibrates through tympanic slits in their clavicles. When they look at something, triangular lids peel sideways, revealing tripupilled orbs that rotate independently. Color means emotion. Emotion is weaponized. Right now, every iris burns sulfur yellow contempt. A hololith floats above them, the wounded Terran destroyer. Its image rotates, leaking pixelated fire. Beside it, statistical glyphs cascade crew count. Armor yield. Estimated will to fight. The last column flickers unpredictably. Human resolve refuses algorithmic flattening. Architect 4th Gradient, whose name is a chord plucked on subsonic frequencies, traces a glass talon through the hololith. Soft shells. The chord translates inside the minds of the others. Born on a planet that taught them hurricanes and tectonics, they call themselves Deathworlders, as if that is boast, not warning. Apex Architect Prime, largest, slowest, oldest, unfurls an extra meter of jointed height. Its central pupil dilates until only a void remains. Burn the root? Prime pulses. Burn the root so the weed never regrows. The council harmonizes in agreement, an orchestral shriek that shatters 2 attendant drones. Yet one architect, 7th Gradient, youngest, considered defective, does not sing. Its color flickers. Violet. Uncertain. It has studied the soft shell's art, their music, the way they record love in clumsy glyphs. It wonders what it feels like to be small, to be fragile, to be cornered and still bear teeth. The wonder is treason. It hides the color deep. Back aboard the destroyer, whose covert designation is ONS Vigilant, a teenage Comstech rewires a console with frost-numb fingers. Private Juno Vega, 17 standard, lied about her age to enlist 6 months ago. She still carries a plastic data stick tied around her neck. 2,000 hours of Earth-ocean sound waves, gulls, her mother laughing on a windy pier. She plugs the stick into an auxiliary port. No practical reason. She just needs to hear something that does not want her dead. The speakers crackle. Surf fills the bridge. Captain Hart closes her eyes. 1 second, maybe less, then opens them harder. Junie, she says, voice gentle like a hand on a trigger. Patch me through to whatever's left of the battle group. Juno's throat works. Sir, there is no battle group. A beat. Long-range cans are dark. She swallows. We're the last echo. The ocean recording keeps playing. No one tells her to turn it off. Engineering Lieutenant Elias Crow limps onto the bridge. Magnetic wrench slung across his back like a claymore. Half his face is sunburned bright from a plasma flash, the other half corpse pale. He tosses a cracked Titus slate onto the nav table. "Found this in the AI core," he rasps. "Auto-logged 90 minutes ago, while we were still pretending we had options." The slate shows a top-secret directive. Operation Cindervale. Authorization High Command. Content Scorched Earth Protocol. If Orion's sector falls, every human ship is to detonate onboard antimatter stores, turn hulls into relativistic shrapnel, deny the Vidyari salvage, and incidentally Juno's ocean sound seems suddenly louder. Evelyn's jaw flexes. "So command wrote us off as a rounding error." She laughs short, broken glass. "Fine, we'll write our own appendix." She turns to the helm. "Mira, how much push left in the fusion bottle?" Lieutenant Mira Patel doesn't look up. Her hands hover above a half-melted panel. "Maybe 30 minutes at 2 Gs. After that we're a bullet with no powder." "Good," Aveline says. "Set collision course for the tetrahedron. We ride the Ghost Protocol. Only we deliver the fire, not ourselves." Silence answers. Then one by one the bridge crew nods. Not resignation. Covenant. The very flagship senses the Vigilant's trajectory shift. Algorithms warble. The human destroyer, propulsion crippled, hull venting, has angled its vector straight toward the Council's heart. Architect fourth gradient pulses amusement. Bright citrus ripples across its thorax. Suicide ram. Primitive. Almost charming. Prime's color, however, leaches to sickly amber. It has seen what humans call a Trojan horse, the concept from soft-shell folklore about soldiers hiding inside gifts. Prime orders lances charged, intercept drones launched. Seventh gradient. The defective watches the telemetry. It sees the Vigilant's antimatter containment field fluctuate, not destabilizing but deliberately oscillating. A code. A song of sorts. The soft shells are broadcasting on the same sub-frequency the Vaichyr use for internal harmonics. The message is simple, brutal, elegant. We bring the storm. For the first time in its span, seventh gradient feels something akin to cold. Aveline sits in the captain's chair, straps hanging cut. She does not intend to survive impact. Seatbelts feel pointless. Instead, she opens a private channel, one the crew cannot hear, and records. "To whoever finds this, we were never the good guys. We were just the ones still standing when the music stopped. I burned worlds, traded innocence for time, lied to faces I loved. But today we balance the ledger." She pauses, eyes wet, voice steady. "Tell my sister the sky was never empty. Tell her it sang." She ends the log, encrypts it inside the ocean file Juno loops, and flags it for automatic burst transmission on all bands 30 seconds before impact. A message in a bottle, cast into the stellar dark. Seventh gradient does not consult logic. It slips from the council chamber, coils through gravity folds that bruise even Vidyari bone, and enters the flagship's core. There it plants a harmonic spike. One line of code that will collapse the tetrahedron's defensive grid for exactly 4.6 seconds. Enough. It does not know why. Perhaps to see what unkillable looks like up close. Perhaps because yellow contempt tastes like copper and it is tired of metal on its tongue. The Vigilant streaks forward. Ion wakes flickering blue. Inside, consoles die one by one. The ocean recording distorts into whale song static. Juno hugs the data stick to her chest. Elias tightens the wrench strap, kisses the cross etched into it. Old Earth habit. Mira whispers a lullaby. Her grandmother sang in Hindi. Fingers dancing across dying controls. Aveline stands. She pictures her sister on a Terran beach at sunset, hair whip-cracking in wind, laughing because the tide soaked her shoes. She holds the image like a crucifix. Impact minus 10 seconds. The Vidyari flagship's grid flickers, an eyelid shutting out of fear. 4.6 seconds. On the bridge of the Vigilant, every monitor erupts white. Not explosion. Lightning. Something vast has translated between the two ships. A gravity shear that punches space like wet canvas. The destroyer is yanked sideways, momentum nullified as if God grabbed its collar. Crews slam into walls. Elias's shoulder pops from its socket. Alarms that had run out of screams find new ones. When vision clears, the forward port shows nothing where the tetrahedron should be. Only a hole cut out of reality. Edges glowing surgical pink. Stars bend toward it, then snap back. The flagship is simply elsewhere. Aveline staggers to her feet, blood threading from her hairline. Status? Juno coughs, wipes violet bruise from her lip. No impact. They jumped. Not away. Sideways. Mira's voice is hush. Captain, we're not alone. On the external cams, a new silhouette eclipses the nebula. It is organic, impossible. A leviathan of chitin and coral, kilometers long, breathing with solar sails that unfold like cathedral windows. Human lettering, crude white paint, scars the dorsal hull. Remember Calderas. The channel crackles open. No encryption, no greeting. Just a voice. Male smoke rough. Vigilant. This is the free ship Leviathan. We're the ones your command forgot to mention. Hold fire. We're coming aboard. Aveline's grip tightens on the rail. For the first time in weeks, she feels something plummet inside her, not despair, but the opposite. The fall that precedes hope. She opens fleet wide. Unknown vessel. Identify allegiance. The voice laughs. Low, broken. Alive. Allegiance? Captain, we're the monsters your monsters were afraid of. And we just saved your life. Question is? A pause, weighted, cinematic. What are you willing to do to keep it? Outside, the nebula churns, colors bruising toward black. Inside, the ocean recording ends, leaving only the hush of 32 humans breathing in sync. And the knowledge that the war they thought was ending has only just changed its face. The Leviathan does not dock. It swallows. A spiral mouth, part iris, part obsidian cathedral door, opens in its belly and extrudes a translucent umbilical that latches to the Vigilance ruptured midship like a parasite finding vein. Atmosphere equalizes with a cathedral organ sigh. Gravity vectors twist, human stomachs lurch north while feet stay south. Captain Aveline Hart meets the boarding party in the mangled hangar. She wears boots again, someone else's 2 sizes large, stuffed with gauze. Yet she stands as if the deck is hers. Behind her, Elias Crow cradles a plasma cutter slung low like a carbine. Juno Vega records everything on a cracked wrist cam, because history owes them interest on pain. The opposite hatch, irises, open. 4 figures step through, 3 human, 1 not. Leader is male, tall, coat stitched from Vifayari hide still patterned with faint bioluminescent veins. His left arm is prosthetic but not metal, living coral, pink and white, fingers moving with soft polyp whispers. Scalp shaved except for a single braid that ends in a .50 caliber slug hammered flat into a razor. Eyes the color of Earth's sky nobody has seen in years. I am Commander Soren Vale, he says, voice the same smoke that answered their comm. These are my lieutenants, Asha, Jax, and our liaison. The non-human glides forward. A Vayari, yet not, chitin-bleached bone-white, fractal tattoos etched by acid. Tripupils milky blind. Where the architects are serpentine, this one is avian, hollow-boned, clawed, wings folded tight like a cloak of knives. Call me Null Angel, it pulses in human-tuned harmonics that vibrate the bones of their teeth. I was 7th gradient once. Now I am apostate, exile witness. I saved you because I choose to bet on the story that scares me most. Yours? Lias raises the cutter a fraction. Aveline lifts 2 fingers. Hold. She studies Vale. Free ship Leviathan. No registry. No transponder. Rumors say pirates, ghosts, war criminals with conscience. Which are you? Vale's smile is half scar. All of the above. But tonight we're the cavalry. If you'll ride with us. They move to the Vigilance war room. What's left of it? Emergency lanterns throw long shadows. Every breath tastes of scorched plastic and copper. Vale spreads a hollow across the cracked table. Orion sector, 3D, real time. Human fleets gone. Vayari spearheads advancing along 3 vectors toward the helix gate. The choke point back to Terran space. High Command didn't just write you off. Vale says, they sold you. 6 hours ago, a diplomatic pulse went out, classified Omega Black. Terran Admiralty offered Orion in exchange for a ceasefire core ward. They'll let the Vajari keep whatever they conquer here if they stop at Gate 7. Juno's recorder trembles in her grip. They can't. This is 2 billion civilians. They can, Null Angel interrupts, head tilting like a curious raptor. Your leaders calculate. Ours create. Both species worship numbers when cornered. Eveline's voice is low. Lethal. Why tell us? Vale leans in, coral fingers creaking. Because we're going to break the deal. Leviathan has spent 2 years stealing Viari tech, recruiting every orphaned regiment, every lab rat with a grudge. We've got one shot, blow the Helix Gate on our terms, collapse the corridor, strand their forward fleets, without supply. Slaughter their momentum, buy Terra time to remember it has a spine. Elias snorts. Blow a wormhole gate. That's like punching a star. You need a trigger mass equal to Luna plus a containment field nobody's ever built. Null Angel unfolds a wing, reveals a crystalline sphere nesting in the joint, Mercury swirling inside. Luna-sized mass. No? Singularity seed. Yes. We stole 3. 1 is already rigged inside the gate's event horizon ring. Problem. The Vilari installed a kill switch, biolocked to Apex Architect Prime. We need Prime alive on location to authenticate the detonation sequence. Evelyn laughs, short, incredulous. You want to kidnap the enemy god emperor, drag it to its own booby trap, and make it press the button that annihilates its fleet. All in. She checks her chrono, 41 hours before the ceasefire clause activates. Vela nods. Exactly. And we need your destroyer. Vigilant is registered KIA. Ghost signature perfect for infiltration. We patch her wounds, stuff her with boarding pods, sail her right into Prime's honor guard under false surrender. Trojan horse. Round 2. Only this time, the horse bites back. Silence thick enough to choke. Evelyn looks at her crew, each face a constellation of bruises, half-healed burns, eyes still bright enough to shame suns. She sees no hesitation, only the same question mirrored. How do you sign a pact with extinction and walk away whole? She answers for them. We're in. But we write the last chapter. When Prime realizes it's holding the detonator, I want it looking into human eyes while the gate eats itself. Val extends his coral hand. She grips. Polyp fingers tighten. Strange, warm, alive. Deal struck. Hope and damnation interchangeable currency. Aboard the rematerialized tetrahedron, Apex Architect Prime floats in a chamber of zero-contrast light, walls, floor, ceiling indistinguishable. It replays the moment the Vigilant vanished from impact, the moment its own grid blinked. Sabotage tastes of 7th gradient spore, violet, uncertain. Prime's central pupil dilates until it becomes a corridor. Through it, memory unfolds. The 7th gradient is hatchling. Smaller, quieter. Once asked why the Vajari sing only in sharps, never minors. Prime answered, dissonance is weakness. Now the question returns as prophecy. A subordinate pulses entry. Architect. Our seers tracked the exile Null and the free ship. They rendezvoused with the human destroyer. Trajectory plotted. Helix Gate. Prime's color flares magnesium white decision. Then we gift them what they chase. Ready the shard carriers. We will meet them at the gate. Accept their surrender personally. And when they kneel, we will record the sound of human hearts imploding. Loop it across their worlds until worship replaces defiance. The subordinate hesitates. And the ceasefire treaty. Prime turns, lids peeling. Treaties are minor chords. We do not sing them. 12 hours later, the Vigilant hangs inside Leviathan's cavernous gut like a broken bird nested by dragons. Engineering crews, human and exiled Vajari, swarm her wounds. Alien grafts meld with Terran steel. Biolattice patching hull breaches. Neural cable splicing into copper veins, turning destroyer into cybrid chimera. Elias supervises fusion bottle recoring. Sweat stings the plasma burn on his cheek. He laughs anyway. Half my life I prayed for alien tech. Should have specified not while it's shooting at me. Nearby, Asha, A lieutenant with prosthetic legs carved from meteor iron hands him a coolant hose. Prayers are amendments. Tonight we rewrite the contract with the universe. In the mess, Juno sits opposite Null Angel. She offers a protein bar. The apostate sniffs, mandibles clicking curiosity. Your kind consume for pleasure. Ours only for function. Pleasure was edited out. Juno shrugs, bites. Maybe that's why you lost. Null Angel tilts. Studies her as if she is a new theorem. Define lost. Exile. Loneliness. Choosing us. The Vyari blinks sideways. Perhaps loss is the first human technology we have successfully stolen. They share silence, uneasy, almost tender. Night shift subjective. Aveline walks the vigilance corridors alone, boots echoing. She finds Vale in the starboard observation blister, staring into Leviathan's internal biolume gardens, trees of glass leaves, roots circulating liquid starlight. Without turning, he says, I was at Calderas when the Vyari tested their planet cracker. Held my daughter's hand as tidal harmonics tore the sky apart. Her fingers unraveled like ribbon. That's when I stopped being Terran Navy and became something else. An unpaid bill the universe is going to collect. A villain stands beside him. Revenge doesn't balance scales. It just breaks them so nobody can weigh the next atrocity. He meets her eyes, sky color, meeting sea color. Then we keep breaking until they run out of atrocity or we run out of universe. A pause. Then, unexpectedly, she touches his coral hand. Pulley fingers curl around hers. Gentle, questioning. Two commanders, two funerals walking. In the reflection of the garden's glass leaves, the moment looks almost like peace. Jump, -6 hours. Null Angel enters the Vigilance Data Core under escort, tasked with uploading false surrender protocols. They are a code that will open docking permissions without triggering Prime's failsafes. Instead, it quietly plants a second script encrypted, self-erasing. Purpose unknown even to itself. Conflicted loyalties ripple violet across its thorax. Juno, passing by, catches the color. Says nothing, but her recorder keeps rolling. They arrive into hell-made geometry. The helix gate is a double helix of iridescent alloy, each strand large enough to moor moons. At its center, a wormhole throat yawns, opal hypnotic, devouring distance. Around it, the Vyari fleet, thousands of tetrahedrons arranged in fractal layers, each reflecting the others until infinity multiplies dread. Facing them, a lone human destroyer limps forward under beacon of surrender. Lights dim, hull scarred, transponder broadcasting Vyari code keyed by Null Angel. Aboard Vigilant, boarding pods cram the cargo bays. 30 human marines in exosuits painted matte black, Vale's inner circle. Elias rigged as demo technician carrying the Singularity Seed's twin backup trigger. Aveline on the bridge, Juno at comms, Mira at helm, all wearing bone mics synced to detonate the gate on her word. Null Angel stands beside Aveline, wings folded tight, color cycling anxiety. It speaks subsonic. Prime will demand visual confirmation of kneeling. When you bow, meet its gaze. Fear is a language it parses poorly. Avalon smiles, sharp enough to cut glass. I don't kneel. I curtsy right before I rip out the throat. Docking. Tetrahedron interior. Gravity folds at 45 degrees. Human inner ears protest. Corridors of liquid mirror ceilings that reflect futures nobody wants. Prime awaits in the grand cavity. A spherical void 3 kilometers wide. Walls lined with suspended Vyari warriors, living statues. Eyes rotating in unison as the humans enter. Evelyn walks first, boots maglock to a transparent bridge that extrudes ahead step by step. Architecture as intimidation. Behind Vale Elias. Marines Null Angel under guard. Prime hovers center stage, size doubled since last sighting. Chit in armor split and regrown into crown of blades. Its color now platinum, victory assumed. Soft shell custodian. It harmonizes. Voice echoing inside their skulls. Kneel and we grant your species a swift culling instead of prolonged harvest. Aveline stops 1 meter from the edge. She activates external speakers. Counteroffer, you deactivate the gate kill switch. Surrender your fleets, and retreat beyond Orion. Do it in 10 seconds, and I let you keep your song. Laughter, an orchestral screech that pops 2 helmet mics. Prime unfurls a talon, reveals the biometric sphere, the gate's heart. Your defiance is noted. Now witness the sound of your extinction. It squeezes. Nothing happens. Confusion ripples yellow across its thorax. Elias grins, raises the duplicate seed. Looking for this. We swapped your heart with a placebo while you were busy posturing. Prime's pupils dilate to voids. It spins toward Null Angel. Realization, betrayal, fury. But the apostate is already moving. Wings snap open, reveal the genuine singularity seed embedded in its own ribcage. Biolock beating like second heart. I am the trigger now. Null Angel pulses. And I choose the minor chord. It slams a talon through its own thorax. Pierces the seed. Reality hiccups. The seed doesn't explode. It inhales. A pinprick black hole blossoms, swallowing light, sound, time. Prime scream stretches into infrasound, then vanishes. As its body elongates, spaghettifies, sucked into the pinprick along with half the grand cavity. VRE warriors wake, swarm. Marines open fire, rail slugs, plasma, fists. Zero ballet of carnage. Vale shoves Aveline toward the bridge. Go detonate the gate from Control Nexus. Finish this. I'm not leaving you. You'll see me again either in Valhalla or in the headlines. Move! He kisses her. Quick, desperate, tasted of copper and promise. Then turns, draws a blade of collapsed star steel, dives into melee. Aveline runs, Elias and Juno behind. Null Angel's body already crumbling to white ash as the micro-singularity devours itself and keeps growing unstable. Corridor ahead collapses into kaleidoscope. They leap gaps that lead into vacuum. Ride shockwaves. Behind, Vale's voice over comm. Ash jacks, nuke the walls, bring the house down. Detonations strobe. They reach the control nexus. A sphere of liquid glyphs. Elias plugs in. Fingers blur. Gate collapse sequence needs 2 keys. Mine and a command-level retina. Aveline kneels. Offers her eye. Scanner flashes. Juno watches the micro-black hole on handheld scope, now fist-sized, doubling every 4 seconds. It's not stabilizing. It'll eat the whole system, us included. Elias meets Aveline's gaze. We detonate. We stranded here. Gate implosion might starve the singularity. Might. Aveline smiles, sad, fierce. I've taken worse odds. She initiates. The helix gate shudders. Elisa's reversing rotation, shedding lightning. Wormhole throat convulses, spits exotic radiation. Overcom fleet-wide, human and VRE alike hear her voice. This is Captain Aveline Hart, Terran Navy, to all ships. Orion is closed. Go home, or follow us into the dark. The gate contracts sphere to disk point, then bursts inward, a silent scream. Shockwave of pure space-time ricochets. Tetrahedrons shear apart like paper in fire. Vigilant, still docked, breaks free, engines flaming. Leviathan swooping to retrieve her. Aveline, Elias, Juno race for extraction pod doors seal launch. Just as the micro-singularity and gate collapse meet in catastrophic kiss. Universe blinks. Later, minutes, hours, impossible to tell. Aveline wakes inside Leviathan's medbay. Pupils dilated from event horizon glare. Juno records, tears silent. Elias sleeps 2 beds over, arm in Regencast. Vale is missing. So are half the Marines. Null Angel's ashes rest in a sealed jar labeled traitor, arrow, end decided. Orion's sector is cut off. No gate, no corridor. Very forward fleets drift powerless. Supplies finite. Human worlds still threatened. But now the war is equalized. Both sides stranded under the same broken stars. Aveline stares at the jar, whispers, "You gave us the knife. Now we finish the cut." She stands, walks to the viewport. Outside, the nebula has changed colors deeper, as if painted with new blood mixed with old hope. Behind her, the door opens. Juno lowers recorder. Voice small. "Captain?" What do we tell command? A villain's reflection meets hers, eyes older than graves, yet burning. We tell them nothing. From this moment we write the orders. On the glass, the words "Remember Calderis" reflect backwards. Unreadable, like prophecy waiting to be reread. They hold the ceremony in open space. No bodies, only names. The Leviathan's dorsal hull extrudes a transparent blister. Inside, survivors float in exosuits, helmets touching like glass prayer beads. Aveline reads the roll. 41 human, 2 Viari apostates, 1 coral-armed ghost named Vale, whose grave is the event horizon they all carry in their retinas. After each name, Juno releases a photon-round micro-torpedo set to minimum yield, bursting into pure white that fades to violet. Orion Nebula answers with its own colors as though the cosmos itself is taking notes. When the last name drifts into silence, Aveline ignites her suit thrusters, rises above the congregation. Her voice is soft, yet the helmet mics carry it like thunder through cotton. We are the left behinds. The gate is gone, command thinks us dead, and the enemy is stranded with us. No supplies. No law. She pauses, lets the vacuum inhale her next words. So we become the law. Behind her visor, tears float free, caught in recycled air. She does not wipe them. Let the universe see water that chose not to freeze. Later, ship-time night cycle, lights dim to ember red. Aveline sits in the garden of liquid starlight where Vale once stood. She replays his last transmission, extracted from tetrahedron chaos. Static blade clash, his laugh. Tell her the sky was never empty. Tell her, signal sheared. She closes the file, touches the coral prosthesis. He loaned her in lieu of goodbye. It rests on a pedestal, still warm, polyps twitching to an unheard rhythm. Somewhere inside, she hopes pieces of him remain, memories dissolved into calcium and salt. The garden door sighs. Elias enters, arms still in Regent's sling, eyes carrying that particular insomnia born of counting ghosts. We finished tally, he says. Food, 6 weeks if we ration to starvation. Ammunition, 2 major engagements, maybe 3. Antimatter, enough for one last burn, either home or through them. He hesitates, then offers a data chip, and we found this embedded in Null Angel's ashes, quantum-etched. A message. It's addressed to you. Aveline slots the chip into her wristpad. Text unfurls, written in both Vidiari harmonics and Terran standard. Captain Hart, the singularity I became will not die, only grow. It is already tuning the fabric between stars. In 72 hours it will punch a new path, small, unstable, sufficient for one ship. You may flee, or you may aim it. I leave the coordinates to you. Choice is the only human art I ever envied. Elias exhales. It's offering us a backdoor wormhole. We could ride it straight to Terran space. Warn Earth, live to fight another day. Avaline's reflection stares back from the dark leaf of a starlight tree. Or straight through their flagship, she whispers. Viari fleet drifts beyond Helix ruin, tetrahedrons clustered like black diamonds around a dying sun. With the gate gone, their supply line severed. They have entered conservation mode, drives dimmed, crews cocooned, only sentry drones patrol. Inside the flagship, rebuilt in hours by nanoforged swarms, Apex Architect 4th Gradient convenes the surviving choir. Prime's death left a vacuum that sings in frequencies of mourning and hunger. 4th Gradient pulses decision. We cannot return. The soft shells possess the apostate's knowledge. The stolen seed, the free ship. Then we remake this sector in our image. Let the core worlds wonder what happened when we finally come home. The Council harmonizes, crimson, eager. They do not notice the micro-singularities echo already brushing their sensor nets like a shark testing skin. War Council around the curved table of Leviathan's heart. Holograms flicker, singularity drift. Viari positions, fuel curves, time to collapse. Aveline stands at the center, hair braided tight, wearing Vale's old coat. Viari hides still glowing faint funeral blue. Option 1, she begins. We take the wormhole home, save our skin, leave 2 billion colonists to be harvested. With that industrial capacity we rebuild, Resupply, protect the colonies until Terra realizes we're still breathing. Juno raises a timid hand. Option 2 sounds terminal. Elias grins like a wolf shown the moon. Exit velocity from a controlled wormhole transit is roughly 600 clicks per second. Survivability 12%. Asha, meteor iron legs crossed, snorts. 12 is 11 more than we had yesterday. Vote comes quick. Unanimous. Dying on their feet wins over living on knees by cosmic landslide. Evelyn closes the file, looks each in the eye. Then we write the ending we want rid at the edge of the universe. Leviathan and Vigilant dock spine to spine, become a double-barreled bullet. Crews strap in. Say prayers or jokes or nothing. The micro-singularity, now the size of a cargo container, rests in electromagnetic cradle, pulsing like malignant heart. Null Angel's coordinates are fed straight through 4th Gradient's flagship bridge to core 0 deviation. Avalane on bridge. Hand over the fire control that isn't fire. It's birth and death at once. 9. 8. 7. Asha bangs meteor heels together. Sound of Andals kissing. 6. The choral prophesis on its pedestal flexes, as if waving. 5. Avelin thinks of her sister, of beaches, of songs that never ended in sirens. Gravity distorts, hair lifts, stomach drops. 3. 2. She speaks, not to crew but to the future. Remember us? 1. They fire themselves through the wound Null Angel left in reality. They emerge inside the flagship's central void. Grand cavity turned into cathedral of panic. Valiari sentries have seconds to register the impossible before Leviathan's prow skewers them. Hull plowing through liquid walls, gravity shearing in directions that don't exist. Aveline hits the release. Electromagnetic cradle hurls the singularity seed deep into the core forge. It lands sticky, activates, begins to sing the same inhaled note that killed Prime, only louder. Elias Max Burns drives. Wormhole mouth snaps shut behind them, folding their exit vector into a railgun shot. They punch out the far hull, titanium petals blooming in their wake. Behind, the seed blooms. Not explosion, collapse. Tetrahedron folds into itself, edges curling like burning paper. Thousands of warriors tumbling into a lightless dot that hungers for more. The Veli choir's death song is a chord no living ear can hear, yet every human on board feels it vibrate in marrow, feels something vast and arrogant suddenly afraid. They clear the blast radius by 9 seconds. Insufficient. Gravitational backlash slams the double ship, whips them end over end. Leviathan's biocore, its living heart, ruptures. Starlight trees shatter into glowing confetti. In the garden, the coral prothesis cracks, leaks pink fluid that forms tiny spheres, floats like rosary beads. Aveling clings to the captain's rail, blood in her mouth, smiling. Status! Elias coughs red onto his console. FTT coils fused. Through the viewport, the Viari industrial Leviathan drifts unguarded. Power flickering. Crew evacuated to defend the flagship that no longer exists. Avelin keys shipwide. All hands. This is the end of the beginning. Suit up. We take that factory, or we become part of the debris field. Airlocks breach. 0 guras, 0 cover, only catwalks of light. Avelin's squad pushes forward, past vats of liquid mercury under arches that print warships like poems. It guards the forge core, tendrils plugged into holographic star maps. You arrive bereft, it pulses. No wormhole, no escape. We still possess numbers. Aveline steps onto the light bridge alone. Maybe. But you'll do it without this. She holds up the second singularity seed, last one, thumb over trigger. Order your survivors to stand down, or I collapse the entire forge into a black pearl you can wear around your neck. 4th Gradient hesitates. Color flickers violet, uncertain. It sees in her eyes the same void that once swallowed Prime. Sees too the coral beads drifting behind her, remnants of veil of choices that chose loss. It unplugs, backs away. But know this, every empire you build from our ruins will carry our echo. Aveline smiles, sad, certain. She triggers the seed, not to detonate but to interface, rewriting the Forge protocols to human control. The entire factory shudders, realigns. Fourth Gradient watches its legacy rewritten in another alphabet, then turns, walks into the dark, exile voluntary. Punishment absolute. Weeks later, subjective. The Forge ship hums. Newborn. Human and Viore apostate crews work side by side, printing parts, growing food, teaching each other lullabies in languages built for opposite mouths. Leviathan's carcass has been cannibalized into armor for the colonies. Its heart, a shard of living starlight, rests in a crystal dome, memorial and power source. Avalane stands before it, promotion unofficial, Admiral of the Orion Remnant, protector of 2 billion lives now funneling through the Forge. Elias enters. Arm healed, eyes older. Long-range cans picked up Terran traffic. Relief fleets, wondering why the gate vanished. They're cautious, but they're coming. She nods. Then we give them something to find. She records a message, wideband. To Terra, from Orion. We are your consequence. Come carefully, the dark is ours now and we have learned to shine. She ends transmission, turns to the viewport. Outside, survivors weld new hulls, ships without names yet. Only numbers. Hope 1, Hope 2. Juno floats up, recorder still running. Title for the documentary, she asks. Evelyn considers the starlight shard, the ashes of enemies and friends braided into its glow. Call it the fall of Orion, where empires burn and humanity rises from the ashes. Night cycle lights dim to mimic dusk. Eveline walks the outer catwalk, coat flapping in artificial breeze. At an airlock she opens the jar, releases the ashes into vacuum. They do not drift. They dance, caught in magnetic fields forming a spiral that glows faint violet. She whispers, "You were wrong. Exile. Choice isn't the only human art. Forgiveness is." Behind her, footsteps. Elias, Juno, Asha, others, silent, watching. Above, the nebula has changed again, colors deeper, as though painted with new blood mixed with older hope. Evelyn feels the coat pocket, the data stick of ocean waves, her message inside. She plugs it into the catwalk speaker. Crew close eyes, listen. For a moment, no engines, no alarms, only the sound of a planet that taught them hurricanes and tectonics, and still they learned to sing. Eveline speaks into the wind, voice soft, final. Record this, Juno. Title card. We were born on a world that tried to kill us every season. We left, carrying that world inside our bones. Tonight the universe tastes our weather. Somewhere far away, Terran fleets pause at the edge of the ruin, reading her signal, wondering what kind of humanity emerges when empires forget to chain it. The story ends not with a period but with a door left open, breathing.